Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Darren Brown. I want to welcome you to this very special webinar presented by Learning at Lightspeed, which is about how you can discovering how you can conquer dyslexia and learning problems in your child and release their full potential and escape the homework nightmare all in 3 steps. Now, I know many of you have come here. Your homework nightmare resonates with you a lot. When you sit down to do homework, it's not fun. It's not practical, and it's long, and it's a nightmare. Many of you realize that your children are under potential. Many of you also realize that your children have learning problems. And I'm going to show you how you can conquer those right here in this webinar. This webinar is for you if you have a child who's been diagnosed with dyslexia, learning disabilities, Asperger's, ASD, or even ADHD, or any of the other conditions symbolized by many letters. So if you've got a child who has that diagnosis, or if you've looked up the diagnosis on the internet and you suspect that, then this webinar is for you. It's for you if you have a child who struggles to concentrate on their schoolwork or who is easily distracted. This is for you if you have nightly homework battles with your child, which often end in screaming or tears, and I might add, which go 5 times longer than they ought. It's for you if you believe that your child is capable of producing better work in school. Now, many of you look at your kids, they might even be doing okay, but you think, you know, little Johnny should be doing better than that. He's got more potential. If that's you, then this webinar is for you. It's for you if you've been suddenly surprised by a teacher reporting to you that your child is underperforming or needs remedial help. And oftentimes this comes in grade 3 or 4, and you say, well, why didn't you tell me back in grade 1 or 2? And, you know, they just sort of slip through the cracks, if you like. It's also for you if you've spent good money on treatments or tutoring with little or no improvement in the child's performance and results. So I'd like to tell you, first of all, a little bit about me so you know where I'm coming from and what led me to work with children with learning problems. Obviously, it's a very different thing compared to most other optometrists. So my name is Darren Brown. I'm a behavioural optometrist, and I live on the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. It's a tough place, but somebody's got to do it. I graduated from optometry school in 1984, which is a fair while ago, but I was soon dissatisfied with mainstream practice. I realised that my destiny did not lie in supplying reading glasses for old men. I attended a behavioural optometry seminar just a year later, but this changed my life. And I decided to study behavioural optometry and completed a postgraduate fellowship of the Australian College of Behavioural Optometry in 1989. But this wasn't the most critical thing. I sat down and I started using some of these therapy programs that the college were recommending, and I just found I was having little or no success as far as changing the lives of these young students went. But here's the big thing. In 1994, we discovered that our oldest daughter had a learning disability, which we now know as Asperger's. She struggled, and school was such a difficult thing. And here's the problem. My traditional therapies and behavioural optometry seemed powerless to help her. So I started studying some of the vision therapy masters. I went right back to the 20s and the 30s, some of the original guys, the fathers of behavioural optometry, and found a whole stack of techniques that have been lost in time, which I thought deserved a bit of an airing and have been incredibly successful. So first of all, I'd like to let you know that there is a definite scientific basis for vision therapy. There's now loads of evidence in scientific literature supporting the role of vision and visual skills in learning. And this goes on, you know, it follows from that the learning the right type of visual skills in vision therapy can dramatically improve your learning and reading performance. Now, I didn't like the traditional vision therapy exercises, as I said, so I decided to design my own, but different to what the other guys are doing. I didn't want to target optometry measurements. You know, we get together at conferences and we talk about how this measurement's changed or that measurement's changed. But I realized as parents, you don't care what measurements change. What you want to know is, how do I change my child's learning at school? So I decided to target school and learning improvement, not the optometry measurements. So the question, ladies and gentlemen, is not whether vision therapy works. It is what type of vision therapy works best. And that's what this webinar is all about. I set out, you know, I wanted to find help for parents of children with dyslexia or learning problems. That was a given. And there's many of you around. I wanted to find help for parents who feel powerless to help their children. There's plenty of people who want to diagnose them and put a label on them, but nobody seems to have anything that really helps. I wanted to help parents who are sick of watching their children struggle to learn. You know, if you've sat and watched your child do homework and it's broken your heart, then you're the sort of person that I want to help. I was looking for parents who are tired of seeing their child's self-esteem shattered by schoolwork, whose kids come to them and say, you know, Mum, I'm really dumb. I'm not as smart as the other kids. And it just breaks your heart when you hear that. I wanted to find help for parents who are done with fighting over homework every night, night after night, for parents who genuinely believe that their child is smarter than their school results, and they want to do something about it. This webinar is for people who want to change their child's future, not just listen to a bunch of information. So here's something to think about. This is from the visionandlearning.org and the American Optometric Association. 80% of children who are reading disabled, including dyslexics, have vision problems which can be solved. 25% of all children have a vision problem significant enough to affect their performance in school. 95%, that's 95% of first grade non-readers have significant visual problems. They have nearly 2.5 times more visual problems than high achievers. So vision is, based on some of these figures and others, vision is responsible for 80% of the learning difficulties your child faces. Yet schools are obsessed with phonics, and that only represents at most 20% of a child's learning. Here's something else to think about. In one California-funded study, repeat offenders reduced from 45% to 16% when they received on-site optometric vision therapy. So vision therapy works. It can calm them down and decrease a lot of the frustration that goes on. In school screenings, people say, oh yeah, my child was sent to school by the school nurse. They detect only 20 to 30% of significant visual problems, and I think that's generous. They miss an awful lot. 1 out of 10 children is at risk for having an undiagnosed vision problem. So here's a testimony from somebody who has been through my program, and you'll notice that they saw an improvement in their child's, not only their ability to focus on the task, but also their ability to do the task. And, you know, these are the things that sort of keep you going and keep you really excited when you see a child's life impacted like this. So in this webinar right now, I want to show you the little known visual skills that can have an enormous impact on your learning, on your child's learning. I want to show you the symptoms to look for to discover if your child has vision problems. I'd also like to share some simple tests with you that you can do at home to see the effects of vision problems on your child's learning. Now, I'm not expecting you to become an optometrist, but you at least can do some things that will give you an insight as to where their vision is at. I also want to show you how you can spend just 20 minutes a day doing the right vision therapy with your child and see an improvement in their performance within 3 months. I'd also like to show you how you can do this in your own home without therapists, without optometrists, and without reading tutors, and how we can help to structure vision therapy so you can keep on track. And that's really important. Any sort of therapy lasts a period of time. You've got to stay on track to do it successfully. I'll also give you some free ideas for therapies that you can do with your kids right now. So, what are visual skills and how do they affect dyslexia and learning problems? Visual skills are skills that involve both vision and the understanding of visual information. And when we learn to master these, we can read and learn effectively. So we have to master them, and we usually do this as we sort of practice and develop. We use these visual skills, which often develop naturally, as I said, when we're learning to read, write, and spell. So in a perfect world, every child would acquire these skills quite naturally as they sat in the classroom and as they learned. But it doesn't always happen that way. Most teachers actually skip the teaching of these skills and go straight to teaching kids how to read, leaving many kids behind. Now, some kids make the jump, many do not, and they're the ones that we are concerned with tonight. Visual skills are the tools with which a child learns. So if I were to get you to build something, you would expect to need some tools. And you can't expect a child to learn if they haven't got the tools. If you wanted to build a table, I might say, well, here's the table, here's the wood rather, build me a table. You say, okay, well, where's the saw? Where's the hammer? Where's the nails? Where's the screwdrivers? Oh, no, you don't get those. You just get the wood. It's impossible to build a table without the right tools. It's also impossible to learn to read without the right tools, and visual skills are the tools that they need. Now, we train skills in many other spheres, like playing football, learning the guitar or piano, but in reading, we just throw them on stage. We just throw them on the field and expect them to be experts. It is more powerful to train these visual skills separate to learning to read, because this will supercharge their reading, writing, and spelling. So if you bring your child to me and say, I want you to teach them to read, I'm the wrong person. There are many fantastic teachers and tutors around who can do that. But what I can do is give them the skills that they need so that the teacher or tutor can work with them effectively. There is no magic bullet, no magic glasses, no magic colored glasses, no magic pill. But don't give up. There is a way. It just takes time and commitment. One thing is for sure, the answer is not doing more of what they hate, hoping that one day magically they will improve. If you know Einstein's statement about insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Well, how is that not remedial reading? We do more and more of what they hate and what they're bad at, and we say one of these days the penny will drop and we'll get a different result. And it invariably doesn't happen. Well, sometimes it does, just by sheer guts and hard work. They manage to develop the skills, but most often it does not. So there are 3 steps to conquering visual dyslexia and learning problems. Number 1, get an eye test. Number 2, do some home visual skills testing yourself. And number 3, do something positive and proactive about it. Find the right therapy program. That's the important one. So let's run through these very quickly. Number 1, get an eye test. Ask your teacher about your child's learning first. So go to your teacher and say, how is my child's learning progressing? And get a snapshot of where they're at, where their teacher thinks they are at. The next thing, get a professional and a competent eye test. Now, I phrase these words very carefully because most optometrists will test the sight and the eye health. So they will say 20/20 vision and their eyes are healthy. They will also check for long sight, short sight, and astigmatism. But that's where most of them stop. Don't stop here. It's not the full story. You need also to look at focus and eye teaming at both distance and near. You need to look at perceptual tests, at eye movements, visualization, eye-hand coordination, directionality. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes way beyond a regular eye test, and that's what a behavioral optometrist is all about. Now, how many of you mums and dads out there have had an eye test for your child with a qualified optometrist, and you think you're doing the right thing, and they say there's nothing wrong, but you look at your child and you sense that there really is something wrong? If that's you, then you need to delve a little bit further. And we've got some home visual skill tests here that we can look at as well. Most importantly, the first thing is use our symptom checklist. And we can email this to you. Then I'll show you a simple focus test, a simple convergence test, an eye movement test, and a memory test. These are very easy things. But let's start with, of course, the symptom list. Now, your symptom list is very important because it's going to show you behavior traits in your child. So let's have a look at these. Does your child exhibit the following signs? Do they have red, sore, or itchy eyes? Jerking eye movements where one eye turns in or out? Are they squinting or rubbing an eye or blinking excessively? Do they get blurred or double vision? Headaches or dizziness or nausea after reading? Do they have head tilting? So do they tilt their head one way or the other? Closing or blocking one eye when reading? Now be careful with this one because a great way for them to do this is to get right down on the page, and they look like they're sort of lying down and reading, but they're actually blocking out one eye because they're so close to the book. The number one symptom we see is poor concentration for near work like reading. So if you have a child who can concentrate on television and not on their reading, then it's very likely you have a vision problem. People say, oh no, they're ADHD, you know, they can't concentrate on anything. If they can concentrate on TV but not reading, it's not ADHD. How can you turn ADHD on when you're reading and turn it off when you watch TV? Now, if they can sit through a television show without squirming all over the place, chances are it's not ADHD, it's actually a vision problem. Here's some more symptoms. Does your child show the following performance cues? Avoidance of near work, and this is the number one symptom, poor concentration. You know, let's sit down and do homework. Often joke with parents in my office. I say, your homework time probably looks like this. Okay, Johnny, let's do homework. What are you doing now? I'm getting a drink. Now let's do homework. What are you doing? Oh, I'm going to the toilet. What are you doing now? I have to sharpen my pencil. And all the excuses come out, but they're avoiding near work because it is too stressful for their visual system. Number two, frequent loss of place when reading. They omit, insert, or reread letters and words. They confuse similar looking words. Failure to recognize the same word in the next sentence. And how frustrating is that? Yeah, what do you mean you don't know that word? You saw it on the previous page, you know? Does your child show the following? They're smart in everything but school. My bread and butter as a behavioural optometrist is a smart child who has trouble reading because it's a blockage in the reading area. You know, if they have significant brain damage, that's a different problem. If they're autistic, that is a different problem. But if they're smart at everything except school, you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be a vision problem. Are they better verbally than when reading or writing? Do they have low self-esteem, poor self-image, or a sensitivity to failure? And one of the things I noticed with my daughter, she just reached the point she wouldn't try anything anymore. She had failed too many times, and she's just, I'm not even going to try because I know that I'll fail. Do they have temper flare-ups, aggressiveness, frequent frustration when doing homework? So does homework finish in a screaming match, or, you know, slamming the pencil down? Oh, this is stupid. I shouldn't have to do this stuff. That's what we're looking for. Frequent crying, especially during homework, or once again, a short attention span or poor concentration, irritability, and daydreaming. Some kids are good kids. They don't get up and make a racket about it. They don't walk around the classroom. They just drift off and they daydream. Is your child frequently labeled the following? Lazy or not trying? Are they labeled dyslexic, attention deficit disorder, a slow learner, having a behavior problem? Many behavior problems, as we saw before with that study from California, are due to uncorrected vision problems, and vision therapy can help. Are they labeled juvenile delinquents or working below potential? So let's have a look at some of the tests that you can do in your own home. The first one is focusing test. You hold a book with small print just 5 to 7 centimeters from their nose, and you take a printed chart that we can give you, tack it to the wall 6 meters away, and you check their distance vision. Then what they've got to do is clear the book, then clear the chart, then clear the book and clear the chart. Do this 20 times and record the time it takes. If it takes longer than 40 seconds, or if you hear them slowing, the longer they do it, they slow down, chances are you have a focusing problem. Now, eye teaming is, of course, one of the classic eye exercises. You can see this little boy here. Hold a pencil 50 centimeters from their nose, move it closer to their nose, watching their eyes. They should be able to keep the target clear and single pretty much all the way to their nose. If one eye drifts away, note the distance at which this happens. Now, there's a standard here that says they should be able to get, 7 centimeters from the nose, but most kids that I know can get right up to their nose, and 7 centimeters is probably, indicating it's quite questionable. Eye movement test. You hold a pencil 20 centimeters from the child's nose, instruct them to keep their head still and follow the pencil. Move it left, right, up, down, Union Jack shape diagonally, that sort of stuff. If the eyes are jerking or losing the target, and if they cannot keep their head still, you may have an eye problem. Now, this is not strictly eyes, you'll notice, but as far as I can tell, eyes are plugged into the brain, and visual memory is a visual pathway into the memory area of the brain. So this is just a quick, easy little test. Write 2 series of the numbers 1 to 9 on separate pieces of paper. You hold a book to block their view, and then you place two numbers randomly behind the book. Now, not side by side, but in different places. Remove the book for a second, then replace it and ask the child what the numbers were, and you gradually increase the number of numbers to see how they go. If they start to falter, if they start to fail, and get 2 out of 3 attempts wrong, then you know you probably have a visual memory problem. Now, it is heavily dependent on age, but it just gives you an idea. It's just a simple test you can do at home. So the third thing in our 3-step method is to do something about it. I can't emphasize this enough. It is not good enough to test for something if we then fail to treat it. Testing and diagnosing is completely pointless if you don't do something about it. So doing something is always better than doing nothing. You know, if you do nothing, nothing will change. And I always encourage people to accept the do something advice over the nothing can be done diagnosis. Many times, you know, and it's not just in vision, but it's in all sorts of educational testing. Oh, yeah, they've got this problem. Well, what can we do about it? Oh, nothing can be done about it. Well, don't accept that. You know, if you fight and claw and do everything in your power and then eventually it doesn't change, then okay, fair enough. But I reckon you ought to be able to try stuff to do something to make a difference. Taking the wrong advice will see you wasting time and money on therapies that might look magic but don't work. And there's some classic examples of that. All sorts of therapies where people promise the earth, and of course, at the end of the day, all you get is mud and dirt. So not all advice or therapies work. You need the right advice and the right therapy. So the ideal therapy. What's the ideal therapy to help your child if your child has been diagnosed as a dyslexic or having learning problems? Well, the ideal therapy is easy to join, easy to do, and has simple instructions. It's not complicated. It's done in your own home, so there's no travel. And, you know, getting in the car and driving to an office and, it's hard work. Should be done in your own home. It takes around 20 minutes per school day because most kids, after a full day of school, they don't want to concentrate for too much more than that when they've got homework and other things to do. It should last no longer than 9 months for guaranteed results. And, 9 months is a good length of time. It's not a year. It's a little more than half a year. Most importantly, it needs to be fun. The kids must enjoy doing the activities or games. If they're hard work, horrible, boring, and repetitive, they won't want to do it. You've got a fight on your hands. So vision therapy is like any other therapy. You need a little every day, and it's far more powerful than an hour or two a week. But you need to see it through. You need to start and keep going all the way through. Now, not all therapies are the same. Not even all vision therapies are the same. Training visual skills is incredibly powerful. That's why I do it. If you train the core visual skills, you literally cannot fail to see an improvement in your child because you are training what we all use when we read and when we learn. Now, I've done our therapy methods with dyslexics, Asperger's, ADHD, autistic kids, adult illiterates, and even refugees. In fact, I trialed these techniques on live subjects, on refugees in Malaysia coming out of war-torn countries with bright kids who'd never had the chance to learn, and they were stalled on the starting block. So there might be 9 or 10, never sat at a desk, never held a pencil. And they come in and say, well, start learning, and they're just looking at the page going blank, got nothing. So we used our therapies to kickstart their learning. My therapy works on this principle. You give your child a fish, you feed them for a day. You teach them to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. So give a child the skills they need to learn, and they will learn. And that's what a good vision therapy program does. It gives them the visual skills that they need. And as I said before, it applies to anything. You know, if you are learning the guitar, you learn skills at guitar lessons. If you're learning to play football, you go to football practice. But with reading, we just chuck them on the field. You know, we don't give them the skills that they need. But if we gave them those skills, they could do a lot of it themselves. Here's another testimony from one of our patients. He has a vastly increased capacity and interest. Here's another one. I love this one because this is so simple. This little boy came in. Mum said, go on, tell Dr. Darren. I said, what's he got to tell me? I wonder what was wrong. And the little boy said, oh, yeah, I went up 12 levels in reading. Oh, gee, thanks for laying that on me, dude. But that's what's happening in real life. So let's recap on how you can conquer visual dyslexia and learning problems. Number one, get a professional eye test, preferably from a behavioral optometrist if you can find one in your area. Number two, do some home vision skills tests and check the symptoms yourself. So whatever the diagnosis from an optometrist or an ophthalmologist, don't just say, yeah, that's okay, I'll accept that. Do some tests yourself. Make sure that you are comfortable with what is going on. Number three, please do something positive and proactive about it. And here's what I believe is the best thing you can do for your child and their future learning. This is the therapy program. It's done at home and it's called Learning at Light Speed. It's our exclusive program that trains the actual visual skills that your child needs to learn. It works through a developmental progression, starting with the very basic skills and progressing through to advanced skills. So many times you might have a few activities that you download off the internet or something like that, and they could be good. Maybe, you know, an optometrist has given you a couple of exercises, but you don't do them in the right order so that they start from basic and you build upon it, build upon it, build upon it until you go through to advanced skills. So that's what I've done in my program. It starts very basic, goes right back to prep, and rebuilds kids' visual skills from prep up. It involves games and therapies which are fun, highly targeted, and take only 20 minutes a day, school days only. And it can catch a child up and in many cases give them an unfair advantage over their peers. So if your child is in grade 2, we have every reason to believe that we could train visual skills right up to grade 5 or 6 and give them an advantage against their peers so that they can actually do better. Parents used to come to me and beg me and say, Darren, could you please get my child, just get them up to average? I've stopped thinking that way because so many times we've punched through average and have gone right towards the top of the class. Not always, but many times. It's been designed by a passionate professional, which is me, who has experienced the anguish that you are feeling right now. It's been designed to target the visual skills your child needs to succeed, not just my optometry measurements. And also it's been designed with simplicity and fun in mind because that's how you get kids to do the activities. Above all, Learning at Light Speed works. It has proven results, guaranteed. I do not have a child doing the therapy that is not improving in some way, shape, or form. You literally can't miss. If you go to football practice, you'll be a better football player. If you go to guitar practice, you'll be a better guitarist. If you do vision therapy, you will improve your learning. So here's what you get in our program. Number one, very clear instructions. We clearly lay out what each exercise is trying to achieve and exactly how you do the exercise or game. Secondly, you get all the charts and handouts, everything you need so you can run off copies as you require them. Third, you get record sheets so you can plot your progress in each activity. You also get email support. We're here when you need us to direct and to help you, and many people take advantage of that. You may say, well, what are the exercises like? Well, what sort of activities will you be doing? Here's a couple of activities. And this is just a portion of some of the activities. This one's called Capture the Mosquitoes. They've got to circle each mosquito 3 times and you time them. It's a great fun activity. We have a computer game along the same lines as well. This one is Chart to Book. You can see it's clearly laid out there with a purpose, what you want, and the variations, the different things you can try. Once they get competent at it, the different things that you can try to lift the bar and to enhance their skills even further. You get charts like that. Actually, you get a better one than that. That's just a rough idea. Here's another activity laid out, the objectives, and one of the activities is the old tray of household items. This is an oldie but a goodie, where it's laid out clearly 1, 2, 3. Do this, do this, do this. And so you'll be able to follow those through. Very simple, easy to do, and easy to understand. So if you are struggling right now with a child who has dyslexia, learning difficulties, Asperger's, ADHD, or is just plain underperforming, this could be the best news you've ever heard. And here's the thing. You've learned a lot in this webinar. You've learned a lot about the different sorts of learning difficulties and what we can do to help them. But if you don't commit to anything, you can rest assured that you have a 100% chance of changing absolutely zero for your child. If you don't do anything, nothing will change. If you've never done therapy before, it might seem a little bit overwhelming, but hey, don't worry. It's simple. Again, it's simple. It's easy to follow. Games that your child will love to do, and we target all the areas that are needed to develop effectively so that you can learn effectively. So what are these areas? You're probably saying, well, what are you talking about? What are the visual skills you're talking about? Let me run through those so you have an idea of what we're doing for these. There are 7 key visual skills that your child needs to learn effectively. These are just the 7 modules that I've broken it up into. Number 1 is focusing. This increases concentration for their reading. It hangs them in there longer. It gives them the ability also to copy off the board. So they relax their focus to look at the board, take it up to look at the book. It also, if you train focusing, it will relieve tired, sore eyes, headaches, and will get them concentrating more. And it also improves comprehension and retention of information. The second one is eye teaming, quite similar. This is the turning of the eyes in. So when you do that test with the pencil and the eyes turn in, if you train this, you can increase concentration, you can increase reading flow, and you can also decrease things like double vision and general eye stress when reading. The next skill is eye movements. If you train this, you can improve the flow of reading so that many of you would have kids who may know the words, but they don't flow very much in their reading. This will greatly help that. You can decrease misreads or skipping lines or rereading the same line. It also helps them when they're copying off the board to find their place if their eye movements are effectively trained. It will also help them in ball sports, especially tennis, cricket, baseball, and soccer. Now, for those of you who are cricket fanatics, which I tend to be, of course, the greatest cricketer of all time is Sir Donald Bradman. Back in the 30s, there is film footage surviving of him when he went back to his home in Bowral and he hit a golf ball against the side of a water tank with a cricket stump. Guess what, folks? He was doing vision therapy right there. He was training his eyes to be more effective. And we don't get kids doing exactly that, but we get them doing something like that and we can improve their ball sports. Number 4 is visualization. Of course, this is important for spelling. If you're a good speller, you can visualize. I often sit mums and dads in my consulting room and I say, spell hippopotamus. And the first thing they do is they look up in the air and they go, H-I-P. I said, not interested in how you spell it. You looked right up in the air and you visualized it. What if your child can't do that? The very skill you use when you're learning or when you're trying to spell a word, they haven't got. So we train visualization. It improves memory as well. And it also promotes greater creativity. Kids who visualize can be more creative. Number 5, laterality. This is the big one for many people who think their child has dyslexia, because laterality is reversing. It has an effect on reversing numbers and letters. And if we train laterality correctly and replot their space world, we'll stop the kids from writing numbers and letters and words backwards. Don't be frightened of that symptom. If you go to vision therapy and get it trained, it will not be a problem anymore. It is not the definitive dyslexia symptom. It is one of the possibles, but it seems to have been sort of equated with dyslexia. Eye-hand coordination or hand-eye coordination. It improves writing, and of course it improves ball sports, especially catching and batting. So if you have a child who say in baseball goes to catch the ball and it goes right through their glove, or if they have a swing and a miss more often than not, chances are that child has a hand-eye or an eye movement problem, and you can train that and get them better at it. We also look at other perceptual areas such as coding, sequencing, and a whole bunch of other things which are all part of learning. Now, if we treated each separate module just as a one-off module, we'd probably charge $297 per module. So if you add them up, focus, eye teaming, eye movements, visualization, laterality, hand-eye coordination, and other perceptual areas, the total would come to $2,079 if we were going to train each of these areas individually. But on top of that, we also include full support, simple instructions with all the charts, video demonstrations, email support, record sheets to monitor progress, everything you need to transform your humble home into a vision therapy center with you as a trained vision therapist. The value of that is $500, and we're including that too. So here's what you get, the 7 modules $297 each, which is $2,079, and full video and email access and support, which is $500. So the total value of learning at Lightspeed is $2,579. So we're talking the value there, talking brass tacks. But before I reveal to you my special price, I want to make the deal even sweeter. I want to add in 4 incredible parenting books as bonuses that can have a huge impact on your life, your family, and your children. Bonus number 1 is the Involvement Informer. This is help for parents in becoming actively involved in their children's schooling. It can help your kids make the right decision when it comes to schooling. It's valued at $27. We're going to include it for free in our package. Bonus number 2 is How to Raise Great Kids. 75 topical question and answers on how to raise great kids, including how should I deal with my child being a bully? What should I do to stop my child lying? When is it okay to leave them alone? How do I help my child make new friends? How can I help them develop self-esteem? How should I deal with a picky eater? Oh, that's a nasty one. How should I teach my young child about money? And what should I do to encourage my child to read? And of course, a whole bunch of other questions, 75 questions there, valued at $47. Yours as part of a bonus for the Learning at Lightspeed package. Bonus number 3 is Raising Children Who Succeed. So you can learn the answers to many more questions like how to define success, what kids really do and don't need, and the legacy of books, power of role models, teaching social skills, how to handle money properly again, and many more answers. It's valued at $37, but it's yours for free. The bonus number 4 is the Smart Parenting Guide, learning the smart way to raise kids. And you can learn what encouragement, positive reinforcement, and praise does to kids, how not to be a demanding parent, and the best way to talk to your kids, because if they're teenagers, you know that's texting. There you go. How to form values and good behavior in your kids. Things a parent should avoid to not spoil their child. I think we'll all move on from that. And the magic of touch and hugging, and why parenting is so hard. And look, parenting is hard, especially if your child has a learning problem. So that's why I'm including these bonuses. That is also valued at $37. So here's what you get. The therapy modules, the email access, plus 4 incredible bonuses, and a total value of $2,727. But of course, you won't pay that much today. I have a special deal that's about to come your way. But before we do that, I want you to ask an important question. Can we do all this another way? Is there an alternative to Learning at Lightspeed Vision Therapy? And if so, how much does it cost? Well, there is alternatives to vision therapy. You can go and see a number of professionals, and they will all look at things from their own point of view. But let's talk about vision therapy itself first. What does it cost usually? Now, most of the therapy I've resourced costs around $139 a session, and most optometrists recommend twice weekly sessions at their office for at least 8 weeks, often with a second block a month or 2 later. If you add this up, it is a minimum of $2,224 investment, plus you've got to travel to and from the doctor's office, take time out of your day, the fuel, the snacks along the way, the kids whinging. And for 16 sessions, let's say $30 for fuel and McDonald's, it's going to come to $480 on top of the previous amount. So that's $2,704. And of course, if you do double the modules, it's going to be $5,408. So for 8 weeks, that's $2,704. And for 16 weeks, it's $5,408. That's a lot of money. That's what the going rate for in-office therapy that I got off the internet is suggesting. Now, I'm guessing a lot of you don't want to pay that sort of money, or take your child twice a week to the therapy rooms. If you've got better things to do with your life, I'm sure you have. That is even if you can find a behavioral optometrist in your area. And many of you, of course, won't have access to behavioral optometry in your area. And remember that most of these therapies that I mentioned there that you're paying such high premiums for are designed mainly to change the optometry measurements, which is nice if it helps performance, but it doesn't always. So it's a lot of money for something that doesn't necessarily see your child learn better. Isn't that right? Let me explain this again. My exercises and therapies have not been designed primarily to change measurements in my optometry office, but to provide tangible and observable improvements in your child's learning and reading. So what else is there around? There's got to be other doctors and medical professionals who can help overcome dyslexia. Let's just have a look at a few of them. This is just in my area, folks. Dyslexia and learning, you have to understand, is a huge and highly controversial area. And there's everything from pills to colored glasses that claim to help. So which ones work and how much do they cost? Beware of miracle cures because they don't exist. Frankly, they do not exist. Magic colored glasses, magic drugs, magic movements, doing special movements, hypnosis and stuff like that. It just, the magic pill is not going to work, I'm afraid. And many of these things, like the colored glasses in my area, cost into the thousands of dollars. And most teachers are informing me, this is not my report, but many teachers are informing me that in many cases, the majority of cases, they are not seeing sustained improvement in the kids in their class. So you could have your child assessed by a pediatrician, many of you have, who is likely to recommend medicating your child to help them learn with drugs like Ritalin and dexamphetamine. Now, apart from the horrendous side effects like mood changes, irritability, lack of sleep, lack of hunger and all this sort of stuff, some terrible side effects, even effects on focusing, that is going to cost you generally over $1,000 a year, including the consultations and the drugs themselves. Or you can have your child assessed by a clinical psychologist. We have some very good ones in our area. They will identify areas where your child is behind age norms. They might offer a few suggestions as to how you can help them, but they don't have a program to help you. They'll give you a label. That's nice. It'll cost you $550. You get a nice report and a label, but you don't actually have anything to do. That's why I designed Learning at Lightspeed, because I wanted kids to have, parents rather, to have the option of doing something to help their child. Or you can hire a tutor. We have some great tutors in our area, but they can only do what you or a teacher can do, perhaps with a little more skill and knowledge, because they are fighting the same thing you are. The child does not have the actual visual skills they need to learn. And that's going to cost you about $90 a week for a session, which is $4,680 a year. And again, they battle exactly what you do, the lack of visual skills in your child. So the fact is, there is nothing that compares that I have seen to Learning at Lightspeed. And remember, doing something is better than doing nothing every single time. Vision therapy is not a magic quick fix. And I'm not sitting here saying vision therapy is the answer to every problem you've ever had with your child. It takes time and effort, but there is nothing else that can train the skills they actually use when they are learning. It is very targeted. It is extremely practical. And as I say, I don't have a child doing the therapy that is not improving. You literally can't miss. If you go to football practice, you'll be a better footballer. If you do vision therapy, you will improve your learning ability. But hey, remember, I promise you that you won't pay $2,727 today, even though it's worth that. Today, I have a very special and amazing offer just for you. And the reason I'm offering this to you is because I know what it's like to have a child with a learning disability. I know the pain, the heartache, the frustration. I'm offering it to you because I'm passionate about seeing kids succeed at school, because I understand your frustration as a parent and I want to help you, because I know most of you want to do something. You want to do anything you can to help your child and to save them from a miserable academic future. And can I say, if you do work now, if you put money in now, expense in now, time in now, that the reward will be that you won't have like far more money, far more time, far more, everything in the future. If you deal with it now, you can give them the skills they need now and get it out of the way. And in the long term, you will save money and save time. So $2,727 value. You're not going to pay that today. For you, it's only $127 a month for 9 months. It's a full 9-month vision therapy program, and it's only $127 a month. That is $32 a week. So I don't want to even stop there. I really want to bless you and take care of you. So here's some really cool mega bonuses, some more incredible ebooks that will really help you in your parenting and will help different types of parents. These are valued at $168. Let me buzz through these quickly. Teaching good decision making. You can teach your child how to make the right decisions every time. And big and difficult tasks suddenly become easier because they're making the right decisions. It also includes special techniques and psychology tools to achieve fast results. It's valued at $37. It's yours free with Learning at Lightspeed. Bonus number 6, Asperger's Answered Revealed. Now, this was critical. I would have loved to have had this when I was dealing with this with my daughter. If you have an Asperger's child, you will love this. Learn the secrets of how to understand an Asperger's child and how you can bring the best out of them academically and in life. It's valued at $47. It's yours free. Here's one we should all look at, folks. I know it's hard, but the Child Diet Dilemma. Learn how to prevent childhood obesity with powerful tools and strategies that can help your child with diet issues. Valued at $37, and I'll tell you, it is worth getting. It could save their life ultimately. And because we have single parenting is a very common thing all around the world now, I've also included the Single Parent's Guide. If you're a single parent, it's a great book full of advice, insight, and tips for those parenting alone, including how to deal with your ex and how to help your children adjust to the separated situation. Many of our kids doing vision therapy are from split homes, and it's got to be managed correctly so that the child is put first in all of these situations. That's valued at $47. It's yours for free when you sign up for Learning at Lightspeed. So let me run through these again. Here's what you get. You get 7 therapy modules, full support and email access, plus you get 8 incredible bonuses, and there they all are there. The total value is $2,875. And of course, you're not even going to pay that. You're only going to pay $127 a month for 9 months, including the 8 incredible bonuses. I urge you, be someone of action. Do not sit around doing nothing. Do something about it now. Doing something is far better than doing nothing. Get involved for your child's sake, for their future, for their learning. Do it now. Give them a fish now, and you'll feed them for a day. Teach them to fish now, and you will give them the skills to learn for a lifetime. So, only $127 a month, you can change your child's life forever. So, thank you for listening to this webinar. I hope it's been helpful to you, and I would encourage you to click on the link below. Don't hesitate. Join up now for your child's sake, for your own sanity's sake. Join up now and come and take part in Learning at Lightspeed. It will be a fun 9 months. It'll be the best 9 months you've ever invested in your child, and you can save yourself a lifetime of heartache, pain, and frustration in the future if you act now. So it's been Darren Brown sharing these ideas with you from Learning at Lightspeed, and I look forward to catching up with you and witnessing the improvement in your child's learning ability as you enhance the visual skills with our Learning at Lightspeed vision therapy program in your home. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and we'll catch up again soon. Bye for now.